it's certainly the case that whenever you have a sort of much-loved property, there is always a sense of trepidation about what's going to happen to it if it goes to the big screen. I think the Postman Pat example is very good because in the case of Postman Pat, they just didn't know what to do, so they turned it into the Terminator. And they went out of Green Day, and everything went wrong. And it was really bizarre that all the things that you like, it's like if you're
and Stephen Mangan, who is A, very funny, and B, can sing.
Yes.
Then opens his mouth and it's Ronan Keating.
That's the thing that bothered you the most, isn't it?
Well, because it's ridiculous.
No, I know.
Preposterous.
Yeah, but the army of robot Postman Pats is less of a problem for you. Yeah, okay. So people obviously have a great fondness for Paddington, not just because of the books, which people have grown up listening to, as Hugh Bonneville was saying, but also because of the 1970s TV show with the narration by Michael Hordern. There was a thing when Colin Firth was talking about the problems of having to consciously uncouple from Paddington. Everyone was going, but the voice of Paddington is Michael Hordern. So all those kind of expectations, then all the stuff with the BBFC and talking about scenes of innuendo, and have they got it wrong? And what a relief to see something like Paddington. And within the first 10 minutes, you relax, you go, it's fine, we're in safe hands. They know what they're doing, and there's nothing to quite match that feeling of safety when you realise that somebody hasn't made a hash of something. In fact, they've done quite the opposite. So, you start in darkest Peru, then we go to London, and it's this beautiful, vibrant portrait of multicultural London, which gently, but I think rather well, celebrates all the things that you want London to be about. I mean, people have talked about Poppins being an idealised version, an idealised version of London. And I think the version of London, which is painted in Paddington, it's all the things that you would want London to be. The family are exactly right, as much as you've got the father who's complete, he said he's a risk assessor and he's completely worried about everything. Meanwhile, Sally Hawkins is this open, free spirit who's, all for, inviting everybody in. And 2 kids, who have got, if you've got kids, if you're a parent, you'll recognise the things that the kids are going through. There's sort of, the point in which all the kids ever want to do is, would you please, very embarrassing, get out of my room. Or, the anxiety about what people will think of you at school if a bear moves into your house. And all that stuff is really nicely observed. The animation is done. What's lovely about it is that you thought it was a mechanical bear.
Well, no, I thought it was a mixture because it was mainly CGI, but I thought there might have been some animatronic.
I'm sure. Hey, the point is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you don't spend the movie looking at it, wondering whether that's a thing or that's a thing, how they do that. You believe in it as Paddington Bear. And an awful lot of that is to do with very, very good, well done CGI, and congratulations to the special effects team. It's also to do with Ben Whishaw actually being the right voice. And the minute you hear him talking as Paddington, again, it's that, yeah, that's right. And you try to imagine what Colin Firth would have done, and he was talking about, well, his voice was too old, there's too much, and I love Colin Firth, and I love the voice of Colin Firth instantly. We were talking earlier on this morning about that wonderful, Single Man, in which he does that sequence in which he dresses him. And he's, nobody is more charismatic on screen than Colin Firth, but Ben Whishaw has got that voice. It's a brilliant bit of casting. I have to say, when they said it, it didn't seem obvious to me. I didn't think, oh yeah, Ben Whishaw, that will work. But I think it works really well. The jokes are laugh out loud funny all the way through. You consistently laugh. I stopped counting. I mean, I got up to 6 in about the first, 15, but that was it. After that, I didn't count them anymore. Peter Capaldi is this, kind of neighbour who actually, once you sort of get to know him, is this enfeebled character. Nicole Kidman as the sort of dominatrix taxidermist. A brilliant gag with, the word taxi written on the side of a vehicle. And again, those Poppinsy views of London and of the museums and looking out over, over the landscape of St Paul's and all that sort of stuff. So it harks back to all the right things. Its heart is solidly in the right place, but it is a 21st century movie that says, you know what, a 21st century CGI bear can be every bit as engaging and lovable as a 1970s stop motion thing that I grew up on, or the book that people grew up on before that. I really liked it.
Did it remind you the kind of if Wes Anderson had been the director, would he have made London a bit like that? There were just a few moments where, I mean, I know you weren't a huge fan of Fantastic Mr. Fox, but there were some moments that were a bit like that.
The best comparison I can make is that there were times, quite apart from laughing all the way through, there were times when I did think Poppins, and I don't invoke that lightly, because you know how I feel about that.
Well, plus also Mr. Brown is very much like the David Tomlinson character in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, I know exactly the Mr. Banks thing, and there is that, and I think the movie's aware of that connection, incidentally, and the jokes are just plain funny. I mean, the action sequences are action packed and all that sort of stuff that you want, and people running along rooftops and dangerous behaviour and extreme marmalade and all the rest.
And no one seems at all odd that there's a bear that talks. It's just
nobody ever complains about that, which is why which is just another thing about it, is it's this portrait of this completely accepting world. Oh, he's a bear that talks. Anyway, what's on telly?